Okay, so to start off this Wrestlemania restoration, conversion, whatever you want to call it, we're going to start off with the control panel. Now, I do want to mention that in the first video of this series, so to speak, where I revealed the cabinet and talked about the project and everything, I was under the impression that the cabinet was an NFL Blitz. I thought it was NFL Blitz, but we did confirm that it's an MK4 control panel box and an MK1 control panel on an NFL Blitz. Well, it turns out that it was not an NFL Blitz. Somebody in the comments had posted that, or mentioned that they thought it might have been a War Gods cabinet based off the way the angle of the light hit the side art. And I was going off the fact that when you took the control panel box off of the machine, there was a little bit of part of the side art that wasn't painted black. And my initial observation was that it was NFL Blitz. Well, I was incorrect. The person in the comments was correct. It turns out that the cabinet is actually a War Gods cabinet. So I don't know if we're going to actually strip it down, tear the art off, and do what I did for the Tattoo Assassins, just go into as deep into detail as we did with that cabinet. I don't know if we're going to go that far on the Wrestlemania. I may just sand it down and put the art right on over that black paint. If it's nice and smooth, it should be just fine. I don't know. We'll come to that bridge when we get there. Or we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it turns out I was wrong. It's a War Gods cabinet. So it's a War Gods cabinet with an MK4 panel box and then an actual MK1 panel. So it's a hodgepodge of stuff. I do have a brand new wooden panel, but it's MK1. So we're going to have to drill. MK1 did not use the metal hinge. So I'm going to have to drill holes in the wood because I have a brand new metal here with the posts that go through for the hinge. So we're going to have to drill the holes in the wood, but that's not going to be a big deal. So we have a brand new piece of wood. I'm going to have to take apart the existing panel to steal the nuts that go on the back side the top side of the wood panel on here for the joystick screws to go through from the bottom. I have to steal those from the existing panel, the wood, and transfer them over to the new wood, and then we can actually get the metal panel here installed in the wood. But to kind of get this going here, we're going to do the control panel assembly first. I did not do a control panel assembly video or include that part of the build for Tattoo Assassins in the video, so I thought I would do it here for WrestleMania. So I have a brand new CPO and a brand new metal. So the first thing we're going to do is clean the metal so we can apply our CPO. Now the exposure here on the camera is probably going to get a bit dark because the light here is going to reflect off the metal and kind of darken the image. So just as a fair warning, what we're going to do first here is we're going to clean this with some alcohol. I've got some isopropyl alcohol here, and we're just going to kind of spray this around and just wipe it all down, get any contamination and dirt and grease and stuff off of here so the overlay will stick nice and easy. Alright, now we'll set this aside again, put this back here. And the easiest thing to do here is once you get this aligned, we can take a little bit of the edge. You're going to want to get a sharp knife to be able to do this properly. And we don't need to reveal a lot, but just enough so we can stick it down and it won't move on us. So now that we have that done, let's do this. Okay, so you don't need much. We just want to reveal a little bit of the adhesive backing, so when we get this in place here, we can set it where it needs to be. I'd say roughly there. Then we can just go like this. Then we can take a little bit more off of there, not too much, because you don't want it to crease on you. So just a little bit more. Let's go with right here. Okay. And then pull it. Oh, I got it. Okay. my right here along the edge here is sticking out above where the camera's sitting, is sticking out further than the CPO. Let me pull this away. There we go. So you want to pull this tight, but you don't want to stretch it. Just tight enough to where it's taut but not stretching. Then you can just go slowly like so. Lift it up slightly off of the CPO. I don't have it laying flat, of course. So we just go nice and slow on here like this. Now we've reached the edge that we cut. So we'll pull this back again and just repeat that process nice and easy. And it's somewhat important before you do this to wipe off anything that might have cropped up on this while you're doing it. Okay, again, lift it up and then pull it taut and just go slow here. You don't want to have this side raised up too high, just like maybe I don't know, 3 or 4 inches up off of the end of the panel, because with the holes can cause you to get ripples in this thing, and you don't want that. What I mean by the holes is that the area here where there's no backing material, when you take the backing material off and the holes are, when you lay the material over the hole, that around that hole it can actually stretch and contour. So you want to keep it taut about this far up off the edge over here. Lift it up just a slightly and keep it taut and go very slowly up and down, and that will help prevent you from getting the CPO twisted or cockeyed around the holes when the backing material is removed. Pop off of there, pop off of there. There you go. That should be enough right there. Okay, clean this off. And go slow again here. Okay. Now you could do the entire thing all at once, but I definitely do not recommend tearing the entire backing off and doing it all at one time. Really don't suggest that. I think we'll be okay to just remove the rest of this now. And, okay, hold it up. And there you go, perfect application. So now we are ready to get our sharp knife here and cut the holes out. Now, if memory serves, on the factory Wrestlemania, the player 2 side locations of the holes are slightly off. Player 1 was kind of, I don't say perfect, but very close to being perfect on its layout of location holes. but I think on the player 2 side they're slightly off. I think that's factory. So if we end up with holes that are slightly off, that's not out of the norm for even the factory layout. So let's go ahead and start with, yeah, see, yeah, it's slightly shifted over, but that's somewhat normal. Even on the dedicated one, they're slightly off a bit. Yeah, so you'll see that the holes are slightly off compared to the white lines, but that's normal, or it's not out of the realm of normality for the Wrestlemania. So let's go ahead and just... So the only one we really need to worry about getting flush are the joystick holes, because they're going to be visible, but they don't got to be perfect for the action buttons, because the lip on the button will cover up a lot of it. But we want to make sure that we get the joystick one nice and round here. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You stuck to my... dang. That's stuck on there good. That's perfect. Okay, now the player 2 side. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, you can see just how off this is, but that's pretty much how it is from the factory on the regular ones too. So nothing to really be concerned about. That's not a problem of the print. It's not aligned incorrectly. If you go and look at a lot of the dedicated ones, they're slightly off like this as well. So, okay. I think I've mentioned that 3 times now. I don't know why I'm repeating myself, but you get the idea. So the rest of these don't have to be that perfect, but we'll make them as perfect as we can get them. Okay. Moving right along here. Wow, this is looking almost factory here. Outstanding. That's pretty perfect. Oh, my phone's ringing. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back to business here. Okay. Let's go down here to defense. Now it's important to kind of shimmy your blade up and down, because if you just try and go around, you can catch a snag and it'll tear and rip. It'll rip the vinyl around the outside of the hole. Then you'll be hating life because you'll be able to see it outside the button lip. So it's always a good idea to kind of shimmy the knife up and down so you don't get snagged on a sharp edge. And then also you want to, of course, make sure you're using a sharp blade and not a dull one, because that'll really hinder your ability to get this done properly if you're just dragging along a dull blade. One left. All right. Ta-da! Factory fresh. Outstanding. Well, there you go. That was a quick and easy install. CPO, all done. Now I have a new lexan overlay, but there's no reason to even put that on yet because, you know, I need the wood part done. So next we're going to let's see. We're going to move on to the wooden panel part. I need to line up these posts and drill the holes in the wood and get this mounted on there. I also need to, I guess before that, I need to pop off the nuts on here for the joystick screws for the bottom side and put those on the wood panel as well. Then get the holes drilled and get this set in place and kind of go on from there. So let's grab the wood panel and work on that and see if we can get this project going forward here. Alright, so I went out to the machine and I took off the control panel harness. So fortunately, I don't want to say all the wiring was there, but most of the wiring was there. Player 1 and player 2 is all here. Some of the grounds are hacked up and everything, but the wiring is all intact for player 1, player 2 connectors. But player 3, the wires that run for our what would be our low attack buttons, player 1 low punch, low kick, player 2 low punch, low kick, that has been hacked off here. If we zoom in, those wires are cut and the connector is gone. Not only that, the other end of the wires are cut off as well. So there's only this much of that player 3 harness still left, and it's not down inside the cabinet. Somebody thought it'd be a good idea to just cut it off and throw it away. So I don't have the player 3 harness that was originally part of this wiring. However, in I'd say the last 15 years or so of collecting machines and parts, I just happened to have a player 3 harness. Now this was in I got multiple drawers full of old parts and harnesses and pieces and things, and I found a player 3 harness. Now it's not going to be long enough to reach the PCB. We may be able to salvage this side, and we only have to run these two, like I say, the low attack buttons and a ground. So it may not be able to be routed or connected or whatever, what have you, with the rest of these that run up to the panel. But you can see it's about half of the length of what it needs to be, but they only need to run to those 4 buttons. So we may have to just sacrifice the length here and just terminate these as they are, and just have this separate. You know, this will be in the normal location under the control panel, and this will be further over or something. But I don't really want to have to extend these wires because they'll reach just the way they are, because I can extend the other side. Since this has to reach all the way down to the PCB, I can just extend these as far as they need to go and just take these and put lugs on the end of them, or the terminals, and then I don't have to worry about extending these, because this doesn't have to technically be routed right next to the other two like they normally are from the factory. This can be, you know, somewhere else. As long as there's a disconnect, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to terminate the ends, the terminal lugs, onto here, and we'll put those on the switches, and I'll extend this to go down to the PCB. That won't be a problem. So now we have all 3 of our connectors here, so that's not going to be an issue. These are all the switches that were attached to the terminals, and this was just thrown down inside the bottom of the cabinet. Actually, these were still connected, but they didn't hook up to anything. They were just kind of hanging down and dangling inside the machine, because the only buttons that were used were player 1, player 2 start, and the guns, and they had their own harnesses. So I don't know what the purpose of hacking the player 3 harness off was, if they weren't going to even need it or use it for Area 51, but you know, I don't know. So these are all just going to go away. I'm going to keep these because there's nothing wrong with them, so I'll keep them for spares for other stuff. But we're going to be using all new stuff for this build. So now that we have all of our harness ready, we can set this aside. And I have the original panel here. Oops, sorry, let's zoom out a bit, and that's as far as we get. So we're going to have to break this down, and like I say, this is an MK1 panel, and MK1 does not use the hinge. So the original I don't know, bracket here would hang off of the front. You would take the control panel loose and just slide it down on a bracket here on the front of the control panel box. but MK2 and on used this hinge, and you can see somebody just screwed it in place here with these 4 screws. So let's just get that off of there. And in all likelihood, we may not have to use the new wood. I have a brand new piece of wood, but because this is already MK1 and set up for Wrestlemania, it's the same exact panel and dimensions. I may get away with not having to actually replace the wood panel, because all I really need to replace is the metal panel, and it's designed for use with this bracket. So all we have to do is drill the holes. Now, conveniently, this panel already has the holes for us, which is where these screws were located. So we can actually remove these screws and use the CPO, or the metal control panel overlay control panel, as a template. And if they line up with these holes here, we can just drill. What the heck are these? Oh, somebody. Are those? I think somebody broke off these screws, these posts. What in tarnation is going on with these posts here? Is that what's under here? No, there's what the heck is this? They go all the way through. Okay, so somebody put holes here, right here and right here, for these carriage bolts to hold the lexan down, and they couldn't use those because they had to put this bracket on here. So that's not going to be an issue. Yeah, so I guess we can proceed on by removing the rest of this hardware and get the. Did someone glue this in? You stupid bastards. Let me get my socket driver set, and we'll yank all of this hardware off and remove this metal piece and get the new metal piece on and kind of go from there, because this will save me, reusing this panel will save me from having to change out the nuts that are on the other side of here, the captive nuts for the screws for the joysticks. That'll save me from that, having to change those out to the other panel. See, I'll show you here. I have a brand new panel here, brand new. It's actually this way. I was going to use this panel, but there's not really any reason to, if I can make this one work. I mean, the only real downside to this is that there's these 3 screws on each side for where they had the gun holsters. That's really all that there is. So, and they put these stupid holes in through here for the carriage bolts for the lexan, but that's not going to be reused. So, assuming that one of the security bits that hold the lexan down doesn't coincide with one of these holes that are already here for the carriage bolts for the lexan that's on here, I may be able to just reuse this panel. So I need to just take it apart and see if I can make it work and salvage it. If not, then we'll have to transfer these nuts over to here and reuse this one. So either way, it shouldn't be a big deal, but let's get this one apart. I'm going to grab my sockets and get all this hardware off, and we'll kind of proceed from there. All right, so I had to go get my stuff here, and in the meantime, I got my fan going here because it's a bit warm right now. And I think it's 11:30 seconds. 3/8? No, it's 11:30 seconds. So those are 11:30. I think these are 3/8 though. Yeah, so I got a combination of 3/8 and 11:30 seconds, but not a problem. Set that up here. Okay, so we'll start with the 3/8. Oh. Set that up there and then it falls. Okay. We'll start with our 3/8 here and get rid of these holsters. And what's nice about this is I should be able to reuse these nuts on the 11:30 seconds studs. hopefully. I'm not sure if I have all of the... I guess they're already all here, aren't they? Well, never mind. It's been a long day. Okay, so can we take these off of here? Yep. Well, if I drop one more socket, I'm going to lose it. And I don't mean the socket, I mean my mind. I got 3 washers. That's worth the deal right there. And we're about to have 6. All right, now we can lay this puppy flat. And I need to pop these off of here. Man, they really torqued these down. Okay, let's see if we can loosen these manually. Nope, someone's glued them in place. But that's okay. I've got just the tool for the job. They didn't have a button wrench, so they put hot glue on each side of these things. I guess that works, but why would you do that? Just get the right tool. Okay, buttons are out. Let's change out to the 11:30 seconds. Let's get rid of this staple. Beyond the Staples Center, you can see America with its dire poor avenging disgrace. Peaceful loving youth against the brutality of plastic existence. A little boy smile, it'll all be well, and say a little boy smile, it'll all be well. Okay, all those. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of that. So yeah, this is all the footage that I didn't show on the Tattoo Assassins. I just kind of wanted to get that done. And I kind of felt guilty about not showing any of that process because of how kind of epic that build was. So we're going to show the entire process here on the Wrestlemania. Now, of course, I didn't have to really go through any of this with the Tattoo Assassins because it was all brand new, but it's important to show this step because some of you may not know how to do this and you need to do it yourself in the future, and well, now you'll know how. And we're not going to have to remove this piece here, the monitor, the piece that goes up against the glass, the monitor glass, because it'll stay with the wood. We don't need to remove that. Okay. Hold down bracket off. Hold down bracket off. Now let's get all these lexan carriage bolts out of here. Oh, that's the CPO. Okay, that is all of them. And I'm going to hang on to these because these can come in handy. We'll set this aside. And the washers are all stuck. There's one. Another. Let's pop all these loose while we're here. Okay. right, now with any luck, the CPO should just, and the metal should just come right off. And there you go. Someone was doing some spray painting on this one, and yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't just reuse this. Now I have to take this off eventually and paint it, sand it and paint it, but there's absolutely no reason why we can't reuse this panel. Well, there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the T-molding here, because that's getting replaced as well. I'm putting purple. I'm changing out the T-molding for purple. So we're going to get rid of that, and look at that. All right, and it's even got the Midway Games sticker on it. Of course, the serial number isn't going to match. It's a random serial number, but at least it's got the decal on there. I may put some custom ones on here for Wrestlemania, like I did on MK3 when a few videos back, a few projects back, where I did the MK3 restoration and I reproduced the decals. I may do that again. I may do that again on this one. So yeah, all right, yeah. Let's reuse this panel. Should not be any reason why we can't. Now, let's see if we can peel off this overlay and see what we got underneath. It's going to be MK1, but I am... Oh, that is crusty. Wow. I'm itching to see if we can peel this off successfully. My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. No, the overlay appears to be gone. Yeah, there's nothing under it. It's just the metal. So it looks like somebody removed the original CPO that was on here and stuck this one over it. And that's unfortunate, because I wanted to see if it was MK1 under here. Let's try a different corner. Maybe I'm pulling up the overlay with it, but I don't think so. No, it's gone. It's just the metal. You can't kill the metal. The metal will live on, yep. No CPO, oh well. Okay, well this is gonna have to go in the garbage. So this is a bye-bye. And let's grab our... Actually, let's clean this up first here. Okay, now we're going to have to mark on here where these holes need to be drilled, and we'll have to do that rather strategically. And let's see if I can... Do those line up at all with... They do, actually. I don't know. I feel more comfortable doing it from the top side of this thing. Because if you look here, these posts line up pretty perfect. They line up almost perfect with the holes. But looking at it from the side, it looks like the holes are further this way and the posts are further that way. Let's look at it like this. No, actually, that looks pretty good. You know what? Okay. I think actually it might work. So let's take this back off. Let's go grab the drill, flip this over, and we'll just drill these out. And see if they line up. If not, we'll have to get a bigger bit and kind of waller it out, but we got some big washers, so it shouldn't be a problem. Let me grab my drill and I'll come right back. Okay, so we got everything we need. Now it's important when you're doing this to have another piece of wood underneath, because when you drill the bit through, the other end is going to splinter out. So having this other piece of wood underneath it as a block will allow it to lay flat, and it will prevent the wood from splintering out when you break through to the other side. I'm trying to think of day to day, week to week, something hour to hour, break on through to the other side. I couldn't think of the words there. Does that make it through? Let's, yep, we are through, and let's clear this out. Yep. Okay, that turned out perfect. 3 more. Plain to see, week to week, day to day, hour to hour. That's what it is. Okay, quick and easy. Just brush all this off. Okay, now with any luck, the new panel should go right in. Any bets? Oh, not quite. Just a little off. Yeah, probably should have measured first, but yeah, it's off rather significantly, so we'll drop this in place where it should be, and then grab the Sharpie and try and mark. Yeah, it's rather off by a lot here. I should have measured, but that's okay. This thing's full of holes already anyway, so. Alright, so right there. That one's actually lined up there, so is that one. But this one, oh, holy cow. This one needs to be like right there. Yep, and this one's right on the cusp. The rest of these, okay. Right when that's going to fall through. Yeah, they're not off by a lot, but they are off, so. Yep. Okay, well, that one's actually up here. Right there. That one's right there. Okay, they're not off by a lot. So we're going to have to up our game here. This one needs to be right here. This one is right here. This one is there. And that one's there. Well, I'm probably just going to have to go up to like this size of. Yeah, that would work. Although, put that back. Let's try this first. Okay, that bottom left one is through. So the bottom left one's good. Okay. Now this one is going to have to be right here. Yeah, see, that's going to fall into there. That should work. This one's probably more of the same. I'll have to use the bigger bit. We'll have to use the bigger bit on those two. Not that big. That should work. Okay, try this one. Let's see if that works. Not quite. Oh, there we go. Hey, hachi-machi. All right, so now I got to take it back out, which that might not be very easy. No, we got it. Ha-ha, all right. Okay, now let's clean this up. Along with this. And all right, so this is going to be fun here, trying to do all this. You know what? Let's just lift up. Let's just put the whole mat. Let's just lift up the whole mat. Brush all this away. Lift up the whole mat. And put it in the trash. All right. A little dusty still, but that's fine. Okay. Okay. So I'm not fast forwarding or cutting or editing any of this out, so you get the whole process here. Okay, where's my panel? It's over here. Now, let's take this, set this back on here. Nice. Okay, so we're gonna have to flip this over. I don't want to put it directly on. We're going to use that. Do this. Okay, now. Well, these didn't have washers originally, but I guess since we got them, we're going to use them. Where? Wait a minute. I almost made a big mistake. I'm glad my brain's at least half working. You know what I did? You know what I forgot to do? Well, if you don't, you're about to find out. That would have really made me mad if I had got this all together and realized I had forgotten to put the dust washers under the overlay. Now again, these are the wrong sticks to be using. These are 8-way sticks. I went on Twisted Quarter and just searched for 8-way sticks, and I bought the ones that I found. And when I got them, I'm like, oh crap, I didn't even realize that these aren't actually HAP 8-way sticks or the IL sticks. These are just regular standard 8-way joysticks with the arms instead of the switches. Well, they're all switches, but you know what I mean. So I ordered the correct ones, but all I have to do when they arrive is just change the base out. So that'll be done later. It's not a problem. But for now, we're going to put these in here just so we can get this done for demonstration purposes. I can't talk and chew gum at the same time. That way. And okay, now we can put this on here. That was almost a colossal blunder there. Now you want to hold it flat because these will fall out on you if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. Flip it around, and there we go. Let's make sure they're aligned. Now we can proceed with our original plan of securing this panel down. Okay, one. Oops, I'm a dummy. You gotta put the hinge on that one. Mistake number 2 won't be the last. Hopefully not. Hopefully there won't be more, but that won't be the last one. I'm sure of it. Okay, now our tie down brackets here for the control panel, they don't need a washer because the bracket itself is the washer. Okay. And let's just put the other one on here. Nope. Just got done saying they don't need washers, and I went to grab one. Okay. All right, now where is that bracket? Here it is. Alright, so this is going to have to go like this, and we are going to simply just set it centered, because you can actually slide this left and right like this. So we're going to just center these up because that's where they should be. If everything's ideal and lined up, you shouldn't be able to move it, but the ideal position is centered, so we're just going to put them in the center. Call that good. And just like that, an MK1 panel is now MK2 and after. There you go. I guess now we can start installing the buttons and switches. Flip this over and take a look. And there you have it. Not too bad. The only real drawback of using these reproduction metal panels is you can see where the studs are. Like over here and over here, you can see where the studs are. But I mean, it's a small price to pay, because what's your other option? I mean, unless you want to make your own, these are pressed in with a machine and it's hard to get them flat. The reason that you don't see this on a factory setup, these studs, is because on the factory ones, it's a polycarbonate, it's a thick polycarbonate CPO. This is not a thick polycarbonate CPO, so because of that, it's a vinyl CPO, so it's thinner, and that's why you can see these. If this was a thick carbonate, a polycarbonate CPO, you would not see these. So it's the exact same thing as putting this over a metal panel from the factory. Just because it's thinner, that's why you see this. So don't get all bent out of whack if you see this, because that's the story behind that. So all right, otherwise it looks fantastic. So let's flip this back around and let's begin with our joystick installation. All right, I got to get my hardware. Hang on one second. All right, so I got some brand new hardware. We're going to use washers, lock washers, and some machine screws here. So for reference, if you do this for yourself, I am using 8/32 by 1 inch. That's what I'm using for these. They work perfect. So we'll grab one of these and we'll grab some lock washers and washers here. We'll just dump some of these out. It's easier that way. So lock washer, washer, and put that in there. And of course, golden rule is never tighten any of them down till you get all of them started, because you got to move it around. Lock washer and washer. And just like that, we got one done already. Was that less than a minute? Okay, and there's not really any room to move around, so we should be centered enough anyway. Nice and tight. Gonna be changing these out anyway when I get my replacement IL sticks in, or IL bases in, so. All right, that was quick and easy. There's one. I should just dump all these into here. That way I don't have to carry around this little bag of lock washers, but it's fine. And one more. See, it didn't take very long at all. No need to fast forward. Nice and secure. So there's a tight one, and 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Just put those in there. That would happen, wouldn't it? One more fell down here. Can I grab that? Nope. Yep. Okay, so now we can set that aside. Sticks installed. Now, what's next? I guess buttons. Let's grab some buttons. We'll start with start. Get these. Okay, I'm a dumbass. Mistake number 3. Who knows how many mistakes those that we're at. But let's grab our new lexan. I forgot. We might want to put this on. So this was given to me for free because it was marked as damaged. Now, I don't know if that means one single scratch or really what that means, but I told Jeff at XL Arcade, I'm like, I'll take it, so I'm not worried about it. Oh, this is why. That's why. There's a little, this is damaged here. Right there is scratched from probably when it was drilled. But between you, me, and the wall, I'm not going to worry about it because this is going to go on location at my arcade and it's going to get scratched up and damaged and beat up, and so it's not going in my private collection. And when and if this ever does come off of the floor at the arcade, it's going to go into my collection, or it's probably going to be sold. And if it gets sold, I'm not going to care about it. If it goes to my private arcade, I will replace the lexan at that time. So this is not a big deal. I don't really care about that. And you really can't even really tell. I mean, because it's sitting over that red fire flame area, you really can't even tell that much. So, yeah, that's fine. If that's the only issue, that's perfectly fine with me. So, let's get this off. And it's important, after you get this protective film off of here, to give it a good wipe down because it's covered in static electricity, and it will, every little piece of particle dust in the air will get sucked onto it, and it'll be almost impossible to keep it from getting underneath. So you want to clean this very well with some cleaner before you permanently attach it. And looking good so far, except for that piece that we already mentioned. Yes, that's the only issue right there, and you can't even really tell. So can't beat that for free. I'll take that any day. So let's grab some, I got a microfiber towel here, and I need to grab some cleaner. Okay, and let's just go ahead and do the other side. Well, it doesn't matter. I got to turn it over anyway, so. All right. Now you don't have to press that hard. You're just kind of giving it a good wipe down here, and this stuff will evaporate on its own. But of course, you still want to flip your towel over and dry it off. But you don't want to press that hard because you'll scratch it all up. But again, like I say, it's going to get scratched up anyway. But I still like to have it nice as I can for as long as I can. Now let's flip it back over. Ah, it's still staticky. I don't know if you heard that or not. Flip it around this way. Yeah, I highly recommend doing this. You want to use a microfiber towel. If you use a paper towel or something like that that's abrasive, you're going to be really hating yourself. Okay, now that that's done, we'll flip this back over and put it back down as such. Okay, I think that will work. Giving it a look over from different angles, and I don't see any contaminants, no fingerprints. That'll do, pig, that'll do. Okay, am I zoomed in that far? Yep, I just need to move this over. All right, so now we can put our brand new Torx bits in there, security Torx bits, right here. And for that, we'll grab our iFixit tool kit. And we'll grab the, where's it at? I'm upside down. No, we want to grab the TR223234 T5. And there shouldn't be any holes because MK1 did not have lexan from the factory, so I don't think any of these holes will already be present. So we're going to have to hold this in place here. You know what? Let's do it the easy way and just toss in a couple of buttons. That'll help, but it needs to be aligned properly. See, it's still not, even with the buttons in there, it's still not aligned properly. So right about there. So let's start in the bottom left corner. Okay, and that even helps to hide a little bit of that scratch. So again, these don't need to be super tight, just until it stops, that's all you need. Okay, so there's that one. And again, these are sized so perfectly to what they need to be. Jeff does a great job at reproducing this stuff. It's really kind of unmatched in my opinion. I remember the days back when I used to have to make these myself in my drill press, and I'd buy enough to make 3 because I'd always destroy the first one or the second one, and it just really became a nightmare. And after Jeff started recreating these, it just was a weight lifted off of me and then everybody else in the arcade community, because it just really made things a lot easier. So how I'm installing these is I'm pressing down rather bluntly to get this started. So what I do is I'll put the screw in the lead here, or in the bit, and I'll line it up in the center of the hole, and then I'll push down rather hard, and that will pretty much put the screw down through into the first thread. Then you can just start turning it, and it's a lot easier that way. Of course, you want to be careful you don't gouge your brand new lexan by slipping off the head of the screw, but if you do it properly, you shouldn't have to worry about that. And you want to try and go in as straight as possible. And you can apply that phrase to more than one thing. I'll leave it up to you to decide what you want to apply that phrase to. All right, 5 left. Let's start over here on this one. If I was a smart man, I'd have done this before I put the joysticks on, or the bases anyway, but that's all right. These aren't helping at all. Let's just throw those out. Man, my left arm is weak as shit. Oh, maybe it's not my arm. That one was significantly harder to get in than the other ones. Man, I'm getting too old for this stuff. Okay, let's get this one. Yeah, this one's easy. There's something going on in that corner that was a lot more difficult to get started, but that's all right. Okay. One left. Here we go. Now you'll notice I'm not using a drill for this. It would not be... no you didn't, no you didn't, no you didn't. Okay, I didn't want any wood. The very last one, it figures, I mean, I'd screw it in there and the wood would get, I'm sorry, yeah, flakes of wood would get underneath, and that'd be, it just would really make me mad. Because I'd have to take it all back off again. Okay. Whew. Awesome. Let's give this a clean again. Beautiful. All right, now that we're nice and shiny, now let's get these buttons in. Now you've got the tall part, the tall arm, and the small arm. The small arm is where the switch is going to go for the leads. So when you do this, I got to get the new nuts over here. When you do this, you want to have everything kind of lined up properly. So if we look here, you can see that the terminals of the switch are going to aim towards the smaller leg. So you want to aim it kind of straight down so the wires don't have as far to go. And you kind of want to be aware of where your button sits. See right there, it's not centered, but if I move it up in that, see right there, it's centered. So you want to be aware of where your button is sitting on the overlay before you screw it down. So kind of hold it where it needs to be, and then tighten this to where it's pretty tight, and that's all you have to do. Now let's do our other one here. Kind of aim it towards the other buttons. And there we go. Now I want to get this as centered as I can. So it looks like right there is about as good as I can get it. And there you go. Now you just repeat that process for all the other buttons and should be good. Now, if I can remember here, I'm going to have to look at a reference photo. I think blue's on the right and red's on the left. Is that right? Where is my phone? It's been so long since I've looked at one of these, I can't recall. WrestleMania Arcade. And we'll go to images and look at the flyer, actually, is what we need to do. Blue on the left, red on the right. See, it's a good thing I looked. Blue on the left, red on the right. And again, you kind of want to angle these, instead of like straight up and down, you want to go at a side. That way the wires aren't interfering with the switch in front of it. So if you go kind of angled, the wires can go snake in between the other two buttons. So there we go. Now we want to make sure it's aligned somewhat. We'll go right there. Okay. Tight. Tight, tight, tight. Bring me some more of that. Yellow, green, blue. All right, make sure that's lined up. Looks good. Now for the ones on the other side, you angle them kind of inward to where it splits. The other two buttons, and it just makes your life a lot easier trying to hook all this up when you're not interfering with the other buttons. Kind of like that. Let's make sure we are about where it needs to be. I'll say right about there. Okay, tighten that girl down. Uno más. That way like that. And let's see if it's lined up. No, not quite right. I'll say right there is good. All right, I need one more white one here for block. And then we'll do this on the other side. Now this one can be straight down. It's fine to have that one straight down. And let's look at the other side here. That looks pretty good. Oh, it moved on me right. There's good. Okay. There you have it. That looks pretty good. All right. Let's go ahead and do the block button first on this side. And this one can be straight down, like I say. Tight, and let's make sure it's... Nope, it's too far down. Okay. Let's raise it up. All right, there. Better. That's better. I don't need blue anymore. What am I doing? Let's grab the red. And angle it that way. Just make sure we are centered. Nope, right there's good. Oh, it's moved on me. There we go. Sometimes they get wishy-washy and move on you when you try and tighten them down, but kind of center them back. See, that's too far. Oh, that button is too far that way, so it needs to loosen up and come back towards me here. How about that? Now it needs to come up slightly. All right, I'll see right there. Okay. Nope, it moved on me again. Sometimes these things can be squirrely like that, and you just kind of have to massage it over. And nope, now it needs to come up. This is just my OCD. You don't have to be this OCD about it, but that's good. Okay. All right, this needs to go up, and all right, that's good right there. Let's tighten that puppy down, and okay. Yep, all right, two more, and we are finito. That needs to go right there. Perfection. Tighten it down. Nope, it moved. Sons of... It keeps going down there. Stay up here. Got it. Man. Okay. And nope, that needs to go up that way. Okay, check that out. Buttons installed. Ta-da! And I want to wipe this down a little bit again. Looking good. Sorry about the light, but there you go. Haha. Okay. Now, let's do the... let's get the switches installed and get the wiring all hooked up, get the bat tops in for the joysticks, and that will finish this up. All right, let's flip this over. Now I want to get a full towel here. Okay, let's flip this over. Okay. Something fell on the ground here, and I'll be damned if I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, we'll find it later. Alright, brand new buttons. That can go there. So you can see the idea behind angling these in now is because now when you put these in here, they won't, you know, otherwise these connections would hit the back of this. If all of these were straight down like the block buttons, you wouldn't be able to hook up the wires to it. So you have to angle them in like this. Well, I guess you don't have to, but it makes your life a lot easier. If you ever had a chance with Nadia, this is it. What the hell am I gonna do, Kev? Seduce her. Go over there and ask her if she needs an extra hand. No, that's stupid. No, you're stupid if you don't do it. Okay. There you go. You can see how easy that is now. Not aligned perfectly, but good the way that it is. Okay, so now we need to figure out which wires go where. And I may actually speed through this part because I need to pull up the diagram and look and see how this is supposed to wire up here, because this is player 2, which is over here. This is the player 2 side, this is the player 1 side, and we got to figure out, yeah, this is, I got to get these other wires out of here. These wires that are, these blue wires from player 3 that are gone. Well, they're not all gone. Huh. There's 3 wires in here that lead up here somewhere. We only need 4. Let's get this loose. Let's turn on the juice and see what shakes loose. Okay, we got a bunch of wires cut here with some grounds. Yep, so there's some loose wires here. We'll set those aside. And then we got these 3 blue wires here. We'll set those aside. These are all cut. And this one. So we got to figure out what we have here now with what's left over. So let me pull up the actual diagram and kind of hook all this up and speed through it and see how far I can get. Well, there you have it, all done. Take this off of here and save that. Okay, so I was able to fully wire this up and everything was present except for a couple of grounds that were missing the terminal lugs that got cut off as part of the hackery. And then the player 3 harness that I had that was too short, some of these other extra wires that were cut ended up being long enough to extend. So these two over here, the low attack buttons, I had to kind of shift this over a bit to reach this broken off or cut off ground wire without having to extend it. So I tweaked this button over a bit. It's kind of affecting my OCD a little bit, but it's okay. It'll work. I'll live with it. So I tweaked this over a bit to get the ground to reach and put a new terminal lug on. And then extended the ground from here over to this button. So all the grounds, I guess, for both players are now all tied together for the low attack buttons on each side, player 1 and player 2. And I was able to, the low attack input buttons from the blue player 3 harness were long enough to reach this side just from the harness. But the player 2 side, I had to extend with some of these other extra wires here, as you saw I was doing. So I have these little solder zaps that you put the 2 wires through on one side and then the other. Then you use a heat gun to shrink the tube down and to heat up the solder, and this is a proper gun to be using. It's got the channel here to put the zap in. A lot of people use the heat gun without the attachment like this. Like that, and all it does is heat up one side. You can't get full coverage, so that's why you have to have a little attachment like this that will do the full range all the way around. So you set this inside here and it goes through and curves around, and I highly recommend something like that. But there you go, all wired up, all done, ready for plug and play back into the cabinet. Now I still have to wire up this end, but I have to also wire in a different JAMA harness as well, so that won't be an issue. I have a brand new JAMA harness right here. I don't know if I'm going to actually use it. I haven't examined the current one very much at all, but I'm tempted to just use a brand new JAMA harness, and I can use these things to attach the wires onto the other end of this. So it's not going to be a big deal. All of the disconnects are still in the cabinet, and we have this disconnect here for the player 3 for the low attacks. So I haven't decided if I'm going to use another JAMA harness or not, but for now, the control panel, as soon as I get the joysticks installed, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So you saw how nice and neat this looks now with the zip ties and all that. I need to actually, you know what, now that I think about it, I need to put a holder right here and a holder right here. Let's go get a couple of holders and put those in right here, then we can be done with the bottom side. So we're going to go with a 13 millimeter for this harness here, and a 10 millimeter. Let's see here. 10 millimeter for this over here, and a 13 millimeter for this right here. So let's use an existing hole here, should work out just fine. And we'll put it right there. Okay, now I need what in tarnation? There they are. Found them. You tried to hide them from me, but I found them. Okay. All right, that'll work. Good to go. Now we'll grab the 10 millimeter. And we'll use that. Let's go right here with it. Just secure that down like that. Actually, you know what I should do? I should put it over here. Get some more girth on that. Okay, now that is done. Okay, the bottom side of this control panel is done. Now, what do you think? Think that turned out good? I'd like to think so. Now let's flip it over and put our joysticks in. We got red on, This won't fit through the dust washer. Now that I think about it and recall, I don't think this actually fits through the dust washer. It does not. So I'm going to have to remove the bases here and have to do them all over again because I always seem to forget a step. But we can just lift them up and it won't be a problem. We can just lift them off of here and set that in place like so, and then put this back down just like so. Okay, and we'll try and line this up the best that we can. And that's pretty good. Alright, now let's do the other one. And then the last step on this journey is we're going to put the new T-molding on the front of it. And then we will step back and admire our handiwork. Okay, this needs to go in like this. Put this back down. Let's just get one snug and then put this through and make sure it's somewhat center. Right there's pretty good. Okay. Got a couple fall out here. What? How the heck? Okay, that looks good. All right. 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay, now let's get the 8-way piece on here. And our C-clip. And it's never easy. You know what? Let's just do both of these at the same time. Let's put this like that. Oh, stubborn, eh? Okay, now we can push that down, get that on there. Push that down. Get that on there. How come these seem awful loose? Those weren't very difficult to get on there. We'll squeeze it a bit here. Those came off of there rather easy. It doesn't matter, I'm changing them out later anyway, but it just seems like that's better. Okay. Well, except for T-molding, is that it? Are we done? I dare say I think so. Let's flip it around. And there you have it. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. This needs to shift over slightly. You can see it's a little bit too far that way, but I think this one's kind of the same way, so we'll just leave it. Don't think anyone's going to complain, but my OCD tells me it's too far that way. That one and that one. But I must say, for what it is, awesome. Let's get the T-molding and get that installed along the front, and we'll call this done. Alright, got 40 feet of purple T-molding. So let's snake some of this out for the front of our panel. And let's set this up on its front here, move that out of the way, and let's align this. We'll get a sharp razor knife. The razor knife that I was using here is what's called an Olfa knife, O-L-F-A. I've been using it for so many years, replacing the blades that it's gone, but it's O-L-F-A. It's an Olfa knife, just so you know. Alright, now we're going to have to trim up this to make it straight, so let's just, and everybody out there I assume knows the first rule of cutting: never cut towards yourself. So that's always rule number one. So let's start here on the edge, and we'll press it in for now. Man, that's tight in there. Okay. And we'll use a rubber mallet, just kind of don't be too rough with it because you can damage it. Just nice and easy. And you want to make sure it's not wavy, so that's why I prefer to use a rubber mallet here. You don't have to bang on it that hard. Nice and flat. No waves. No Katrina and the waves. There you go. Now we will set this down and try and do this in frame here. So get a sharp point on the blade and go very slowly. Rock it back and forth. Don't push very hard. You don't want to have it just and slice your finger off. Nice and slow, even, back and forth, and it takes it right off. Now you have a nice straight edge for the next part of your machine. And with that, we're done. Let's see if we can get a better angle here. Can we? There you go. Let's kill this overhead light. Boom. Well, what do you think, ladies and gents? I say that's a pretty darn minty fresh installation and build-up of a control panel. The only blemish is right here, and you really can't even see it. So I'll be happy with that. This turned out fantastic. One of the better turnouts that I've had in a long time here. I need to remove this bracket and sand it and paint it, but otherwise, very good. So there you go. If you need to do this yourself, now you know. Now you have a video and you can see what it takes and how it should look when you're done. So hopefully it helps you out. Stay tuned for, I guess this will be, next part will be part 3, where we start tearing into the cabinet and deciding whether or not we're going to just clean up and touch up and put the art on over the black paint, or if we're going to try and remove the artwork or remove the paint and see how the artwork looks and then sand the artwork down. I don't know. I think the least amount of effort for the best result would be to just sand down what's there and apply the art right to the paint, the black paint. But if you ever go to pull it off, well, I guess it's going to be the same whether you pull it off the black paint or pull it off the other art. You're going to pull what's underneath it off with it anyway. But we'll get to that point and see what happens when we get there. So, or cross that bridge when we get there, is the better colloquialism. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Stay tuned for part 3, where we dive into the cabinet, and we'll see how that turns out.